Chapter 6. Is Amazon really saturated, or can I still make it? Do not wait to strike till the iron is hot, but make it hot by striking. William Butler Yeats. We all heard this at least once in our early e-commerce entrepreneur life. The Amazon FBA business model is dead. It's just like dropshipping and all these online get-rich-quick schemes. There are actually 5 common misconceptions in that statement. First, dropshipping isn't a dead business model. It's been going on since the 70s and it still exists, although it evolved a lot recently. Second, Amazon FBA isn't a business model. It's an order fulfillment service accessible to retail sellers on the Amazon retail product marketplaces. Third, the Amazon FBA private label business model is not dead. I started in 2021 when people had been saying that for more than a decade. 4. The Amazon FBA private label business model is the e-commerce opposite of the dropship retail product business model. What I mean is, you own your inventory, you create real value, you provide and guarantee quick delivery via the best order fulfillment in the world, and you own your own brand, etc., etc. And finally, 5. Neither of these business models is a get-rich-quick scheme. All the experienced and successful dropshippers or Amazon FBA sellers I've met will confirm that. There are 2 relatively accessible business types, especially compared to bricks and mortar ones. But they're definitely not instant routes to 7-figure success, especially without proper learning, guidance, patience, and hard work. You also hear a lot that the Amazon marketplaces are saturated. Let's talk about that for a second. The word saturated gets thrown around a lot when people talk about the Amazon retail business for small and medium businesses. But let's break it down. If by saturated they mean hard, then they are absolutely right. Winning at the Amazon FBA private label business model is hard. And not just for SMBs. Big billion-dollar brands are also struggling when it comes to Amazon PPC optimization, understanding the blurry Amazon algorithm, which is previously known as the infamous A9, or even optimizing their branding to follow the Amazon standards. They're playing the same game as you are, and it's not as biased toward the rich as you might think. If you're willing to play the game strategically, there's plenty of room to win your slice of the $729 billion being spent by consumers on Amazon each year, as per a study from the ecommercedb.com site, reference for the 2023 data. Let's look at the facts. Amazon growth is staggering, especially since COVID. In 2023, while consumers were spending this $729 billion, Amazon obviously developed their e-commerce market share, while the number of third-party sellers also grew to represent a whopping 68% of the sellers present on Amazon. That comes from the study by junglescout.com. Half of whom are private label sellers creating and selling their own brand product. Now, as the company's retail department, the online marketplaces we know, achieved more than $500 billion in revenue, driven by its expanding global footprint, Amazon is not just resting on its laurels. It's aggressively opening marketplaces in regions like the Middle East, Southeast Asia, and South America, creating new opportunities for sellers to tap into these fresh new customer bases. This kind of expansion doesn't happen in a market that's out of room. It happens in one that is bursting with demand. So let me ask you a quiz question. Do you think that a one-person founded, UK-based private label brand selling sportswear could scale up and exit for several $1 million in less than 3 years and from scratch? Because that's exactly what the brand TCA did. If you want to check it out, they still exist. It's on tca.fit. They were a self-funded SMB, making shorts that I loved wearing during my time living in London. That was before launching my first Amazon business, so it really surprised me when I randomly met that TCA's founder in person during an Amazon sellers conference. His name is Frankie Thorogood, and he's not the multi-billion-dollar company CEO I imagine, just a smart solopreneur who understood the rules of the Amazon FBA game. He was the first person I ever met that became a multi-millionaire in just a few years, starting from scratch, and that was thanks to hard work on his Amazon FBA private label business. And he's not the only one. Across the world, small brands are being built and sold for life-changing amount of money. Brands that started exactly where you are now. The reality is simple. If you know how to find the right niche, build a strong brand, and understand how to leverage Amazon's ecosystem, there are plenty of massive opportunities to create a profitable business. This is where private labeling comes in. Unlike reselling random products, private labeling is about building real value by owning your brand. You create a product that's differentiated, control the branding, and build long-term equity. But the secret isn't launching just any product. It's about going deep, not wide. dominating micro niches instead of trying to compete with established giants. Think of it like this. You're not trying to be the next Nike. You're trying to be the best, most recognizable brand for a very specific type of shoe, like foot-shaped running shoes for women ultramarathoners. Where can I find the proof that profitable sellers exist? Okay, enough pep talk. Here are the 5 tools you need to start believing once and for all that the Amazon marketplaces are not saturated and new SMBs can still enter the game. You need to become a master at using them during your product and niches research, which we'll cover in the next chapters. First, an Amazon data analytic tool. My recommendation is using Helium 10. Second, a B2B retail product suppliers marketplace to quickly estimate your product sourcing price to later define its cost of goods sold. You can obviously use other B2B sourcing marketplaces, but Alibaba on Alibaba.com is big enough to guarantee quick product price estimates without digging for hours. This part will come later in your sourcing price optimization phase. Third, FreightOS, which is on ship.freightos.com. It's a freight forwarding marketplace estimation tool for you to forecast, for free and an instant, your exact freight fees. It will help you define quickly and accurately your COGS freight-related fees. 4. The official Amazon revenue calculator, to quickly and properly forecast your future net margin. And finally, 5. The Endgame XP product validation Google Sheet. This free data and calculation sheet will allow you to fit in market data gathered during your niche analysis to forecast revenue, but mostly to gauge the niche penetrability. More on that in the next chapter. Knowing how to manipulate these 5 online tools is your first step to ridding yourself of any misconceptions about the Amazon marketplaces being saturated with offers, as well as finding your future golden niche to exploit. XP Boost Positive. The conference I met Frankie Thorogood at was called FBA Scale for Retail in London in the United Kingdom. That was my first in-person FBA business-related conference. Pre-COVID, I attended a lot of tech events while working as an employee at Amazon Advertising Technology Department in London. But there's a big difference with the world of Amazon FBA sellers. These guys are passionate, very nerdy about their SMB ecosystem, and they love sharing. Honestly, it feels like you're attending a mini version of what used to be the E3 in Las Vegas, with all these people talking in acronym and laughing at jokes that beginner sellers like me at the time were completely clueless about. The conference lasted for 2 days and it costed me around £300, which is $400. These were the most motivating $300 I had invested at that point. So, if you like motivation or have any doubt in the legitimacy of the Amazon FBA business model, I truly advise you to look for physical events and conferences for Amazon sellers and attend as many as you can. You won't regret it. Key takeaways. The Amazon FBA private label model is far from dead. Saturation really means hard, not impossible. And hard is fair game. Amazon is still growing massively and opening new marketplaces globally. Small, solo-run brands are still scaling and exiting for millions. And mastering 5 simple tools is the first step to spotting your winning niche. Chapter 7. How do I quickly uncover a golden niche? Finding golden niches is more about strategy than it is about luck, as all successful Amazon private label sellers uncover them by following a data-driven process. That said, if you ever felt overwhelmed by the sheer number of product possibilities, you're not alone. I've been there. But here's the good news. With the right framework, niche discovery becomes systematic, predictable, and repeatable. So, what makes a niche truly golden? The answer lies in key performance indicators that separate winners from dead-end ideas. A strong niche has steady demand, proven by consistent sales over time, manageable competition, neither oversaturated nor suspiciously inexistent, a healthy profit margin that would justify the effort, and clear differentiation opportunities where you can stand out. Do these KPIs sound familiar? They should for any serious FBA private label seller. They are also the ones you'll find in your niche validation sheet. How can I use the niche validation sheet to find my golden niche? In the paperback version, you see a screenshot of the niche validation sheet, and you can download for free this document for your own usage on the following link, endgamexp.com/FBA cheat codes-LVL1. This book is filled with cheat items, which are essential tools and resources such as Google Sheets, scripts, AI prompts, SOPs, etc., that are your new weapons. You'll also be able to download them for free once again, so you can easily duplicate them for your business after reading each chapter. In the digital version of the niche validation sheet, you'll find 2 tabs. The main one contains the template for you to use during your niche research. The other tab contains an example of a real product I launched successfully in mid-2024, generating about $7,000 of profit in the USA alone after 8 months, with a total launch budget of $9,000. To evaluate your niche, you have to fill all the cells in the column B of the sheet to measure the niche's risk and opportunity, as well as forecast its potential profitability and your required launch budget. You can see that it is split into 3 parts. Part 1 of the niche validation sheet. Fill it with information gathered from Helium 10. You can refer to the chapter 8 for that. Part 2 of the niche validation sheet. Fill it once part 1 is done and your niche is clearly identified. And finally, part 3 of the niche validation sheet. Fill it after roughly defining what your offer product will look like. Refer to chapter 10. The foundation is therefore learning how to fill part 1 of the sheet, and I guarantee that after that, you'll never hesitate again when deciding to join a new quest, or rather, a new niche. Key takeaways. Golden niches aren't found by luck. They are uncovered through data analysis. A winning niche must have demand, manageable competition, profit potential, and room for differentiation. And the niche validation sheet is your go-to weapon to never second-guess joining a new niche. Chapter 8. What's the secret to mastering Helium 10's niche research tool? As you might already have guessed, in this book, I will be using the online platform Helium 10 for all market analysis and keyword strategies. I prefer this tool compared to its main competitor Jungle Scout because I find Helium 10 data to be more accurate. Its user experience is also less buggy, and the user interface is smoother to watch. That said, the best Amazon Analytics tool all replicate more or less the same feature. In other words, all the Helium 10 cheat codes and SOP I am describing in this book should be easily replicable with Jungle Scout. Helium 10 promo code. You can follow this link to get an instant discount applied to your Helium 10 Platinum plan, which is the plan that you truly need for accessing all the necessary features to launch a few products for the first time. The link is endgamexp.com/promo codes. The true power of Helium 10. My favorite way of finding new niches is to use Helium 10 Black Box. This isn't a hack and a pretty obvious first step, but think about it. As an Amazon seller, your opportunity finding lizard brain is always turned on whenever you find an interesting product in a physical store, at a garage sale, or even when scouting social media. But what is it that you do immediately after thinking of a potentially profitable product idea? You go check it out on Amazon and run a niche analysis using Helium 10. So my point is that I like to skip the first part. It is more scalable that way, and I have been outsourcing this process to my virtual assistant for a while now. The goal when using Helium 10 Black Box is not to find profitable niches, but to perform the heavy lifting by adding the filters that align with your private label business model. To start, here are the mandatory criteria you should respect when looking for a niche market opportunity if you plan to achieve the 10-10-10 goal with a maximum budget of $10,000. Criterion 1. A niche where products are being sold between $13 and $50. Never set your private label product below $13 for 2 reasons. First, the Amazon fee percentage is lower for a product sold for $13 compared to a product sold for $12.99, owing to the Amazon price category switch, and only becomes interesting again once the product price gets below 2 digits, which is the reason why you rarely see products sold on Amazon between $10 and $12.99. Second, if a product price is too low, your prospects give less importance to the branding as the product starts to be considered a commodity, which isn't what a private label product should ever become. But why this metric? Because with a $10,000 budget, if you plan to sell your product for $54.99, for example, your landed cost, including quality control and shipping fees, most likely will be about $12. So with a lead time of at least 2 months, which include the production time plus quality control plus ocean shipping if shipping from China, you won't be able to buy enough inventory to avoid a stock out if you forecast that your sales velocity will hit 500 units per month, as 2 times 500 times $12 equal $12,000, which is above your $10,000 maximum budget. Note, you should always forecast your first order to avoid ending up out of stock, as an early stock out would mean a new launch to perform, involving in specific launch fees. Criterion 2. At least 4 listings making more than $10,000 revenue per month. But why this metric? Because you'll want to steal market share from several of your competitors. When a new player enters an already existing market, and therefore with an already existing demand, its offer has to answer needs from an audience that is sporadically spread across the existing offers. And although you might want to pinpoint specific competitors' market share, it's safer to solve several competitors' product issues than aiming at just one. You're trying to be the best offer out there, not just another forgettable one barely better than a white label cheap competitor. Criterion 3. Minimum market size of $300,000 turnover per month for similar buying intent products. But why this metric? This is to make sure your market is big enough for you to secure a piece of the pie. The bigger the market, the easier it is for you to find your place by answering a very specific, unique need. Also, you're not working hard on your private label product just to make a few bucks, and achieving significant profits requires significant turnover to begin with. That said, be careful that your product isn't sold as a commodity from day one. Bigger markets tend to be so big because of the huge amount of product copycats offering no real differentiations. Note, having 2 products with the same buying intent means that they are fighting to solve the exact same problem for the same type of customer. Even if the products look different or have different features, the user is looking for the same outcome, making these products direct substitutes in the mind of the buyer. Criterion 4. Average review rating at 4.4 stars maximum. But why this metric? Because if the audience doesn't complain about a product, then there is no need to propose a new solution. Therefore, there is no demand for a new product. Criterion 5. Average review count 1,000 maximum. But why this metric? Because it will take you about 1 month to reach 100 reviews and another 6 months to reach 500 by using all the cheats in this book, and most likely more than a year to reach 1,000. So, entering a market where you have too much of a review count gap is very hard. Even if you have a better product, people will often prefer a 4.3 stars with 1,600 ratings product compared to a 4.5 stars with 100 rating product. Note, know that you can be flexible with these criteria. For example, considering a niche in which the average review count is 1,200 instead of 1,000. But keep in mind that it would increase its risk and/or difficulty. Criterion 6. Average age of the listings in that niche is more than 3 months. But why this metric? Because if a niche is only 3 months old, there are 2 big risks. 1, the demand might not really exist, as new sellers are just pumping their advertising dollars in hope of creating a market, and they might be wrong. And 2, you never know if Amazon is going to suddenly ban this specific product because it doesn't like it. In general, if a market doesn't exist yet, there might be a good reason. Remember, do not try to create a new demand out of nowhere. It's a risky game that we are not playing here. Instead, go and safely farm the existing one. Criterion 7. No listing owning more than 50% of the niche market share. But why this metric? This is extremely important. Do not enter a market where a clear leader has already been decided unless their product is really badly rated, which means 4.1 stars or less, other competitors have been established for more than a few months, and you are absolutely certain you can beat them in terms of product quality or perceived value. It's very likely that this main competitor has a patent in place on their product. And even if they don't, they own such a big market share of that niche that they can control the cost per click price of the advertisings. To give you an example, if a clear competitor owns a market, which means they own 50% of the market share or more, They will do anything they can to keep you from outranking them, as you would if you were in their shoes. This means that they might set the cost per click price of the niche hyper-relevant keyword just high enough by purposely bidding higher than anyone else, for you to spend all of your profit just trying to rank high enough to break even with a few organic sales. Also, this market controlling competitor might spend their own profit, which will always be bigger than yours, on advertising campaign targeting you and any newcomer listing pages, making you powerless compared to their online advertising presence. So yes, avoid that type of fight at all costs. Criterion 8. Less than 2 big mainstream brands in the niche. But why this metric? Because when a customer buys a pair of Nike, they don't buy a pair of shoes. They buy what LeBron makes them feel. They buy Michael Jordan or Tiger Woods. They don't buy a product. They buy a feeling. So if big brand products aren't the niche you're analyzing, just perform your analysis without including them in your numbers, as you won't be able to steal any market share from them. When doing my niche researches, I tell my virtual assistants to ignore any niche that has 2 or more big brands in them. So my advice, don't bother if the big guns are already there. Criterion 9. Minimum 30,000 search volume for hyper-relevant keywords. But why this metric? Similar to the market size, the search volume needs to be big enough for you to be able to find your way to sell organically. A search volume of 30,000 is from experience enough to make sure that enough eyeballs will be exposed to your product listing to generate actionable conversion data, clicks, purchase, etc. The search volume is extremely important, as analyzing only the revenue of a niche could lead you to enter a quest where products are being sold outside of Amazon leveraging FBA. For example, some products sold on TikTok shops could be fulfilled by Amazon using the Amazon multi-channel fulfillment service, making this product show great revenue data on Amazon through Helium 10 by tricking you into thinking that the sales are made via the Amazon marketplace. As you're planning to use the Amazon marketplace traffic to sell your product organically, you need to validate that this traffic exists by confirming a minimum search volume is present. Finally, to properly size your niche volume, only consider the search volume of hyper-relevant keywords, not mainstream keywords that do not fit your product buying intent. To identify a hyper-relevant keyword, just type the keyword in the Amazon search bar. If more than 30% of the products displayed on page 1 as the result of the search are exactly matching your own product buying intent, then this keyword is a hyper-relevant keyword. Now, the good news is that there are thousands of niches that check these 9 criteria boxes. And here's how to find them step by step. Step 1. Find a single keyword fitting criteria 1 to 6. First, connect to your Helium 10 account in the black box tool. Then, enter the filters based on the criteria previously mentioned. Just like that, you have a result of keywords that are already matching criteria 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So, now you should have a list of niche keywords to analyze. Next, let's see if any of these niche keywords match to criteria 7, 8, and 9. Step 2. Extend the keyword's niche research to fit criteria 7 to 8. First, connect to the marketplace you are analyzing, for example in the US, Amazon.com. Then, search for the keyword of the niche, and always make sure that your delivery address is set in the country of the marketplace when conducting product researches on Amazon. Then, once all the results are displayed, launch the Helium 10 Chrome extension and in it use the Helium 10 X-ray feature. Then, apply the following filters in the X-ray result. Retail price from $13 to $50, add the fulfillment type as FBA, and check the box Hide Sponsored Products from Results. Finally, order the results from highest parent level revenue to lowest, and remove from the list of results all the irrelevant products. A product is considered irrelevant if its buying intent is different from the niche's main products. Alright, you should now have the last 2 metrics you need to clear criteria 7 and 8, the market share of each competitor and the brand names of your competitor. Here is what an interesting niche research should look like so far before going any further. In the X-ray result, you should see the total revenue above 300K, and you should see a good split of revenue across the different offers that are available, as well as maximum 2 big brands available in the offers. Step 3, extend the keyword niche research to fit criterion 9. Finally, all we need is the search volume of the niche. Of course, a niche isn't made of only one keyword, that'd be too easy, but rather made of several hundreds of small to big ones. Now, if you want, you can perform complex keyword research to analyze a niche in full depth. Refer to chapter 34 to do just that. But here is a quicker cheat you can deploy to go even faster in your product research. First, on your Helium 10 Chrome extension X-ray result, export the list to CSV. Then, copy the top 10 ASINs by revenue from that list and paste them into the Helium 10 tool called Cerebro. Then, once the Cerebro keywords are ready, filter the result as follows. Search volume of minimum 100, position from 1 to 30, match type organic, and word count 2 to 5. Note, these filters will simplify your quick overview of the niche. Remember, we are only trying to see if the hyper-relevant keyword represents a total search volume higher than 30,000. Finally, order the results by search volume from higher to lower and go through the list of results to identify hyper-relevant keywords. Again, if you're not sure if a keyword is a hyper-relevant keyword, just research the keyword on Amazon, and if more than 30% of the results are the product with the expected buying intent of your niche, then it is a hyper-relevant keyword. Note, you can also enter a specific word into the filter that will pinpoint all the relevant keywords in your research. It might make your research of this keyword easier. Alright, you should now have access to the last golden metric you need to clear the remaining criterion 9. The search volume of the niche's hyper-relevant keywords. Has your product research led to a niche that checked all 9 criteria? If the answer is no, do it again with another keyword from your previous results in step 1 of this process. If the answer is yes, good. Now that you have all the metrics required to make a data-driven decision, simply feed all the gathered information in the first part of your niche validation sheet. The next step will simply be for you to fill the second part of that sheet by using your own analytical eye. More on that later. That's it? That easy? That can be all, could it? Don't worry, the hard part is yet to come. That was the easy part, the part that anyone not daring to move forward can achieve. But we just completed a huge portion of your adventure. You now have a clear quest to potentially dive into. Standard operating procedure. Niche research first part. On the following link, you'll find the SOP to provide to your virtual assistant for outsourcing the process of filling up the first part of your niche validation sheet. I personally ask my VA to find 5 to 10 potential niches a month when we're building our brand product roadmap. My advice is that even if you don't have any launch plan, keep looking for new product ideas and keep them for later when you'll have the bandwidth and, of course, the cash flow. The link is endgamexp.com/FBA cheatcodes-LVL1. XP boost negative. During the first month of my adventure as an Amazon seller, I was following advice from great Amazon FBA coaches who taught me to look for product niche opportunities literally everywhere. In physical stores, on third-party websites like Pinterest, etc. What that caused me was literal headaches from trying to identify the reason why a product might or might not work on Amazon. And eventually, I lost months of inaction trying to understand the whole retail world instead of facing one true fact. The shopper's habits are not the same on Amazon as they are anywhere else. So what made me move forward on my very first product was to only focus on the one data that counts when planning to sell on Amazon, Amazon's data. You will be able to analyze other external metrics once you start extending your product line outside of the Amazon marketplaces. So no rush. Key takeaways. Use Helium 10's black box to generate keyword-driven niche ideas that match your predefined business constraints. Pay attention to the 9 essential criteria to analyze the most important market data. Validating the market size in revenue and search volume is crucial before checking its penetrability and profitability. Real progress starts when you stop looking everywhere and focus only on Amazon native buyer data. Chapter 9. Can I slash my Helium 10 subscription cost? When launching a new business, the third-party tech tool fees add up quickly. So here are my tips to cut down on Helium 10 fees during your 10-10-10 goal journey. First, learn about all the necessary Helium 10 features like keyword tracker or black box, etc. before subscribing to their paid plan. You should also educate yourself about the Amazon FBA private label business model in advance to avoid paying for a platform that you won't use straight away. Then, subscribe to Helium 10 using a promo code, for example, the one I provided in the previous chapter, and only do it when you start researching your first product, as you don't need it before then. Next, before the end of your promotion period, disconnect your Seller Central account from your Helium 10 account and then cancel your Helium 10 subscription. And finally, reapply with another email address using the same promo code from this book to restart the discount for another period. Now, full transparency. Doing this won't change anything for the affiliate, for example me, that you're using the promo code from. Their commission ends when you cancel your Helium 10 account and start over when you're creating a new account. But for you, you'll keep saving on your monthly subscription, at least until you'll have fully launched 2 or 3 products, at which point you'll need to keep the same Helium 10 account constantly active to track your product performance on the long term, as building historical data in Helium 10 is important. Chapter 10. Power Up. How can I speed up my niche research? It's not that we have little time, but more that we waste a good deal of it. Seneca. Time is your most valuable asset in the Amazon FBA private label business model, so efficiency is the key to success. Finding a profitable niche doesn't have to take weeks. With the right strategy, tools, and automation, you can narrow down high-potential products in well under an hour. This chapter is about cutting through the noise, streamlining your research with specific tools, and using proven shortcuts to identify winning products without wasting time on dead-end ideas. Trust me, by the end of this chapter, you won't just be finding product ideas. You'll be running a machine that delivers validated, profitable niches to you on autopilot. Let's get to work. First, let's talk about the 1-hour rule. The goal is simple. Within 60 minutes, you should be able to find a penetrable product niche and determine whether it's profitable. That means, without overcomplicating the process, checking the following 7 research components as conscientiously as possible for each niche. First research component, the existing demand. Second, current market analysis, which is a competition analysis. Third, the legality. Fourth, stability. Fifth, penetrability. Sixth, product creation feasibility, which is the sourcing opportunity. And finally, 7, profitability. We already covered the first 2 components in chapters 7 and 8. So you should already have the first part of your niche validation sheet half filled with the information you gathered from Helium 10's Black Box, X-Ray, and Cerebro tools. You got this process in the bag, right? Great. And as you can see, this has just been about analyzing numbers available to everyone using Helium 10 tools with a good strategy in mind. Therefore, the process so far can definitely be outsourced using the SOP provided in Chapter 8. That's right. You can safely outsource the first part of your niche research instead of spending hours manually going through product niche ideas on Helium 10. Think of running this process like a virtual assembly line, and that means using virtual assistants. Hiring trained VAs to pre-filter product based on these strict criteria will save you a lot of time and eliminate 90% of unqualified ideas before they even reach your desk. SOP, hiring a VA. On the following link, you'll find the downloadable SOP for you to hire a virtual assistant. I recommend you find a VA that isn't experienced at all in Amazon FBA businesses. You can teach them the essentials of Helium 10 yourself if needed, and especially avoid quote-unquote niche research experts. Virtual assistants like these might simply share their niche findings with other clients. You want to be the first and for as long as possible, the only one to exploit each new opportunity. The link is endgamexp.com/FBA cheat codes-LVL1. Now let's cover the last 5 parts of your niche analysis. Part 3. Legality. It goes without saying that you first need to make sure that the product idea isn't an illegal one. It's fair to assume that if your product niche exists and several sellers are selling it on Amazon, the product is legal to sell. Amazon does check the product sold on their platforms regularly. That said, Amazon can be wrong, and just like for any intellectual property, it's your responsibility to check if you're in the clear legally. The truth is, nothing kills an Amazon FBA business faster than infringing on someone else's IP. A product that seems like a great opportunity can turn into a nightmare if you unknowingly violate a patent, leading to legal action, listing removal, or even financial penalties. Many new sellers make the mistake of trusting their suppliers when they say a product has no patent issues. Never do this. Suppliers are focused on selling you product, not on protecting you from legal trouble. Even if they claim the design is free to use or that product is certified with XYZ, you must verify it independently. How to check for patents? First, start with Google Patents on patents.google.com. This free tool lets you search for existing patents by keywords, inventor name, or product category. Second, check the USPTO database, which is the United States Patent and Trademark Office. You can find it on uspto.gov. This website provides an official patent search for products sold in the USA. Third, look for active trademarks and designs. A product may not have a utility patent, but could still be protected under design patents or trademarks. You can check it on tmsearch.uspto.gov for trademarks. And fourth, search international patent databases. If you're selling in Europe, Canada, or other markets, check regional databases like the European Patent Office for Canadian Intellectual Property Office, the CIPO. If there is any doubt, hire an IP lawyer to conduct a full patent analysis before proceeding. The cost of hiring a lawyer is nothing compared to the cost of lawsuit or having your entire inventory seized because of patent violations. How do I rate my legality? Green means no active patents. Orange means some expired or weak patents, might be avoidable with design tweaks, but proceed with caution. And red means active patents or trademarks exist, which would be a high risk of infringement. Therefore, avoid. The bottom line is, always verify patents before launching a product. One small check can save you from a massive legal headache down the road. 4. Stability. Trend analysis. Trends can be a double-edged sword. On one hand, they can create explosive demand, making it look like a niche is thriving. On the other, they can be short-lived, leading to a steep decline in sales once the trend fades. If you are not familiar with seasonal market forecasting, you should aim for a year-round stable or growing market to limit risk. If a product's search volume or sales spike due to a temporary trend, for example, the fidget spinners in 2017, then the niche is unstable, and you don't want to build your business on a product that will be irrelevant in 6 months. That's why analyzing long-term sales data is crucial. To do so, use Helium 10 X-ray tool to check your main keyword search trend and historical sales data. If the top sellers in the niche are only performing well because of the trend, you should be skeptical. Instead, focus on the sales volume of top sellers outside of the trend window by ignoring the search volume spikes in your analysis to see if the demand is sustainable. If a product is selling well even when the trend fades, you might have a solid long-term niche. But if its success depends on hype, proceed with extreme caution. Product price decrease. A declining price trend is a huge red flag for a niche. It signals increasing competition, price wars, and shrinking profit margins. If sellers keep undercutting each other, you'll struggle to maintain profitability even if the product itself is in high demand. To analyze price stability, use the free Chrome extension called Keepa to track price history on products on Amazon. Look at the last 12 to 24 months. Has the price remained stable or has it been slowly declining? If the latter, you're looking at a race to the bottom, where only the biggest players with huge net margin can survive. And if the price keeps dropping, so will your profits. Unless you have a very strong differentiation strategy, such as unique features, premium positioning, etc., it's best to look for a more stable niche. 5. Penetrability. Each existing product niche is penetrable. In other words, if a product is selling, you can still eat sales if your offer solves the problem better than your competition does. Now, we obviously want to eat as much market share as possible and potentially ride the growth of the niche market as its leader. But you need to consider the added value that your product offer will serve to the demand, and ask yourself this question: how hard or feasible will it be to create that value? This is what the penetrability analysis answers. In the tab of the niche validation sheet you're using for product niche analysis, the second part is the penetrability analysis. You'll need to analyze each aspect of your market competitors to rate each criterion in the sheet as red being hard, orange being doable, and green being great opportunity. Criterion 1. Product itself. Ideas and bad review complaints check. But why this metric? Customer complaints are a gold mine of opportunities. If top-selling competitors have consistent bad reviews about a particular issue, cheap material, bad fit, or poor functionality, this is where you win. A niche with common unresolved complaints means there's room for a better version of the product. If reviews are overwhelmingly positive and the product is already well optimized, penetration is harder. Also, feel free to be creative and trying to find new product ideas by yourself. But remember to test them on your core audience before approving them. The only bad data is no data. Criterion 2. Main picture. Framing, quality, and clarity. But why this metric? The main image is the first thing that a shopper sees. If competitors have low quality, unclear, or poorly framed images, your product has an instant advantage just by presenting a more professional and engaging Your product has an instant advantage just by presenting a more professional and engaging visual. A well-optimized main image can increase the click-through rate, directly impacting sales. If the competition already has perfect eye-catching images, it will be harder to stand out. Criterion 3. Title. Is it keyword optimized? But why this metric? Amazon's algorithm prioritizes well-optimized titles filled with relevant keywords. If competing products have short, unoptimized, or vague titles, they are not fully leveraging SEO, which means that you can rank faster and higher by crafting a better, keyword-rich title. However, if all competitors have perfectly optimized titles, differentiation will rely on other factors like branding and imagery. Criterion 4. Bullet points, keywords, and copywriting. But why this metric? You might think that bullet points are where customers scan for key information before making a purchase. But the high-scale reality is that very few people actually read them. Depending on the demographic, some people don't even know they exist, especially mobile shoppers. So, are they useless? Well, quite the opposite. The real power of bullet points lies in the importance of its keywords for ranking your product on relevant search terms. The Amazon algorithm considers the bullet points keywords in second position of importance just behind the titles, so you have to make them perfect. If competitors are failing here, you can convert more buyers by writing persuasive, benefit-driven bullet points with strategic keywords to rank more efficiently on the ones that matter. Criterion 5. Pictures, quality, content. But why this metric? Aside from the main image, the quality and depth of additional images can make or break a purchase. If competing listings have low-resolution images, obvious stock photos, or simply lack essential visuals like lifestyle shots, infographics, or size charts, this is your chance to dominate. A better image set increases conversion rate significantly. If the competitors already have perfect images, differentiation will require even more effort. Also, in non-English speaking marketplaces, for example, Amazon France, a lot of sellers do not take the time to translate the text on their listing images. They just leave them in English. This could be an easy win for you. Criterion 6. Packaging. But why this metric? Most sellers underestimate the psychological impact of packaging. If your competitors do not offer any packaging, that is an easy, unskippable win. Seriously. If your competitors are using generic, uninspired packaging, you have a massive opportunity to add perceived value through a more premium, branded unboxing experience. This can lead to higher reviews, more repeat customers, and even viral social media exposure. However, if the competition already has strong packagings, your edge will have to come from branding and product differentiation. Criterion 7. Branding. Original, professional, coherent. But why this metric? Branding is long-term penetrability armor. Weak branding, like inconsistent colors, amateurish logos, or unclear messaging, signals a lack of authority and seems untrustworthy to customers. If the current market leaders have forgettable brands, you can establish dominance by creating a more cohesive, professional, and premium brand image. If the niche is already filled with strong brands, breaking in will require more aggressive marketing strategies. Criterion 8. Description. Is it A+ or not? Is it branded? Storytelling? But why this metric? A+ content and A+ brand content enable sellers to enhance their product descriptions with rich media, banners, and storytelling. If competitors do not have A+ content descriptions, you have another big opportunity to increase conversion by presenting your product in a more visually engaging and informative way. However, if all top sellers already have well-designed A+ contents, you will at the very least have to do the same from day one of your launch. Criterion 9. Variations. Color, size, quantity, and bundle. But why this metric? A niche with limited or poor variation can also be a golden opportunity. Many sellers stick to one-size-fits-all listings, ignoring potential customer needs for different colors, sizes, or bundle options. If you notice demand for an alternative variation that isn't currently offered, you can fill that gap and capture more sales. However, if competitors already dominate with a full range of variations, differentiation will need to come from other areas. Remember, this criterion will only be relevant from your second or third purchase order, since you won't launch a variation in your first order until your primary product has been officially market validated. Estimate the niche penetrability in one quick color check. A niche with mostly red penetrability criteria is difficult to penetrate unless you have a strong, unique selling proposition or a substantial marketing budget. A mix of orange and green signals an opportunity worth exploring, whereas a niche with several green criteria is a strong go-ahead. Your goal? Identifying weaknesses, optimize where competitors fail, know your skills and capacity to deliver value, and position yourself as the best choice in the market. And remember, no amount of great marketing will save a bad product. Now, let's dive into the next part of the niche analysis. 6. Product creation feasibility, sourcing opportunity. When forecasting your sourcing opportunity, these three variables are the most important to quantify, as they vary significantly between products. The unit production price, the supplier's factory lead time, and the shipping cost from the factory to the Amazon warehouse. Product ex-work price, including all customizations, prints, and packaging. Your sourcing price determines everything: your profit margins, competitiveness, and long-term sustainability. If your ex-work price, meaning the cost of the product at the factory exit before shipping fees, is too high, you'll struggle to improve your profits, and it usually is where most of the margin is being made. Of course, beyond just the base price, you must factor in customization by the factory, as adding branding, like logos, print, design, etc., has a cost. Also add the other prints, like thank you card, user manual, etc., and packaging. A unique, well-branded product can command higher prices and set you apart, but it also increases costs. Once you have a rough idea of the product you'll make, and there is no need to create an advanced product specification sheet at this point. It's time for you to reach out to suppliers that could produce it. There are a lot of online marketplaces to find suppliers, but to stay focused on the analysis, let's assume you'll be sourcing in China. So connect to Alibaba.com to get rough pricing estimates from multiple suppliers and compare. If you want even lower prices, explore 1688.com, which is a Chinese-only sourcing platform with better local pricing. However, keep in mind that the suppliers on this marketplace often do not work with international clients unless you have a sourcing agent. Note, if your ex-work price doesn't leave room for at least 70% margin from your retail price, rethink your niche or find a better supplier. We'll see why later in this book. Supplier lead time. As already mentioned, speed matters greatly in e-commerce. If your supplier takes 50 plus days to manufacture and ship your product, you risk running out of stock, delaying launches, and losing momentum to faster competitors. It means that to cover these risks, you'll need to order more units, increasing your launch budget. Long lead times also mean potentially higher inventory storage costs, as Amazon inventory storage is getting more and more expensive year after year, caused by the exponential growth of its business and e-commerce market footprint. It's a bit of sweet news, right? When finding potential product suppliers, always ask them for estimated production time, which is the lead time, for each minimum order quantity before placing an order. Remember that faster lead time means better cash flow, less risk, and more agility in the market. If a supplier's lead time is too long, look for alternatives or negotiate for priority production. From my experience, lead time can always be negotiated if you're willing to pay a fee, like between 2% to 5%, to be first in a production timeline. Shipping price to Amazon warehouse. You could have the perfect product at the perfect price, but if your shipping costs eat up your margins, your business is dead before it even starts. Refer to the introduction of this book to relive my own sad experience. That's why forecasting your delivery duty paid shipping price for your products is a critical factor in your market penetrability analysis. Shipping DDP means that all costs from the initial warehouse, confirm with your freight forwarder that it includes pickup from your factory, as usually DDP means that the cargo should be at the freight forwarder warehouse to start, including freight, custom duties, and last mile delivery are covered in your quote. There shouldn't be any surprise fees that could wreck your margins. If you don't account for these costs properly, you could risk getting hit with unexpected charges that could wipe out your profits. How to analyze it in a few seconds? Well, first, enter the following metric in an online freight forwarding marketplace like FreightOS on ship.freightos.com. This free freight forwarding marketplace lets you compare shipping rates across different freight forwarders for air, ocean, truck, and rail transport. It can also provide an estimated GDP cost, which includes custom clearance for any complex shipment from anywhere in the world. So, after creating a free FreightOS account, here are the minimum data you'll need to enter into FreightOS to instantly get accurate first quotes for shipping your products. The city of your supplier factory, the origin address, the acronym of the Amazon warehouse to ship your cargo to. Here's a pro tip. If shipping to the USA, select a major East Coast warehouse such as the Amazon warehouse ABE4 in Pennsylvania to make sure that no matter what, your initial quote is conservative, meaning the highest that could happen since you cannot choose which Amazon warehouse to send your stock to anymore. Even though it means that you'll have to split your shipment into different Amazon warehouses. But freight forwarders are expert to do that for you, so no stress. The number of units to ship. Select loose cargo by boxes/crates, as palletization, if needed, will be part of the optimizations handled by your freight forwarder. But again, we're trying to be conservative in our quote. Dimensions and weight of your product. Refer to the size and weight of your product that you will source from your supplier. That includes the packaging, of course, and all your product parts. If you're not sure, my advice is to refer to the product weight and dimensions of your competitors on Amazon. That way, you'll have accurate data as to how big and heavy your product will most likely be. The value of your goods factory ex-work price, not the retail sale price, so that FreightOS can calculate your insurance fees. Once these data have been fed to FreightOS, select the option Goods Are Ready to get your quote instantly, run the search, and add the following additional info. Labeling and palletization. Check that box, as you shouldn't trust your suppliers to do these crucial elements for you. Always let the freight forwarder handle it. Liftgate. Not needed, as the freight forwarder will handle palletization if needed. They are the judge of that. Cargo insurance request. Check that box too, because if your shipment is damaged or lost, you don't want to absorb that loss. Finally, check the box saying that you will need a custom broker and a custom bound for USA only, as again, you'll be shipping DDP. Keep in mind that most freight forwarders already have their bound of entry and won't charge it to you for each shipment. But again, let's be conservative for now. In the paperback version, you see a screenshot of the exact FreightOS platform with all the filters that we just mentioned. You can now run the search and analyze the different offers received. Since your business should run with the highest margin possible, shipping via ocean will most likely be the cheapest if you're sourcing in China. You now have all the non-Amazon related numerical metrics needed for your niche research. Now for the final and most exciting part of the analysis. 7. Profitability. You're not in this game just to sell products. You're here to make profit. And if your margins are weak from the start, you'll struggle to survive long term. That's why a deep profitability analysis is a must when assessing a niche opportunity. Selling price and velocity, the winning formula. A product's selling price is only half of the equation. The other half, sales velocity. You need both to make real money. A high-margin product that sells only 5 units a month won't scale. Meanwhile, a low-margin product that moves more than 1,000 units a month might look good, but if you're constantly slashing prices to stay competitive, you'll burn out fast and your cash flow will stay low for a long time. Your goal is to find a balance between a profitable selling price and a steady, high sales velocity that keeps your product ranking well. To define your sales price, align it with the niche average price from your competitors' analysis. You won't want to appear cheap, of course, but won't have enough social proof at first to appear as the new premium leading offer. Just aim for the middle. We'll cover variable pricing strategy in Chapter 36. To forecast your sales velocity, refer to the competitors you listed in your market analysis and align your forecasted velocity with the competitor you have the best chance to steal market shares from in the first 6 months. Depending on the niche, this specific competitor shouldn't have a rating above 4.3 and not have more than 100, certainly maximum 300 reviews. Bear in mind that it might take several weeks to reach 100 reviews, so be conservative as to which of your competitors you believe your new product will outperform. Amazon services fees. Now, here's the final metric before making a decision: the Amazon fees. These include storage fees, fulfillment, which are delivery and return fees, the Amazon referral fee, and taxes. There's an easy-to-use Amazon tool enabling you to calculate your Amazon fees, the Amazon Revenue Calculator. The link for the Amazon Revenue Calculator for the marketplaces US, Canada, Mexico, and Brazil is sellercentral.amazon.com/revcal, REVCAL. And the link for European, UK, and all the other secondary markets is sellercentral.amazon.co.uk/revcal, REVCAL. Now, the purpose of this tool is to find out the net margin of your product once you have provided Amazon information about your products as well as your forecast in terms of storage. For this, simply enter your forecasted monthly sales velocity and the average amount of units stored monthly. From experience, you can forecast that it will be more or less 2 times your monthly sales velocity. Also, do not forget to click Load the Taxes at the bottom of the form. On the paperback version, you can see a screenshot of the Amazon Revenue Calculator fully filled. This tool will provide you with the post-Amazon net margin percentage to report in your niche validation sheet. Note: one of the best ways to lower Amazon cost is to use smaller packaging for your product. If you're looking for the exact dimensions for each Amazon category of parcels to lower your fees by providing the smallest packaging possible, you can refer to the Amazon FBA fee pricing pages on their respective regional websites. For example, for the US marketplace, it's located on sell.amazon.com/fulfillment-by-Amazon. And for the EU and UK marketplaces, it's located on sell.amazon.co.uk/pricing-fulfillment-fees. Take your final decision. Now that you have all the metrics necessary to fully complete your niche validation sheet, you now have all the information needed to take a decision. You can see on the paperback version a niche validation sheet fully filled. You can also find its fully filled example on the Endgame XP hub mentioned previously. Of course, it will be up to you to decide whether to enter this niche, but there is one criterion that you shouldn't be flexible with, which is a minimum net margin after advertising that we will call the clean margin of 20%. Why a 20% clean margin is a non-negotiable? Time for the hard truth. If your product doesn't have at least a 20% clean margin, you're walking on a financial tightrope when selling any product on Amazon. Here is why. First, discount periods are inevitable. Throughout the year, you absolutely must run deals such as Prime Day, Black Friday, or holiday sales to protect your bestsellers ring. If your margin is too thin, those 10 to 15% discounts will crush your profits. Second, ad spend fluctuates. Amazon PPC costs vary. If your profit margin is too tight, even a slight increase in PPC bids can put you in the red. And third, unexpected cost will happen. Higher than expected return rate with non-sellable returns fully refunded by Amazon anyway. Remember, Amazon is not your friend, nor are you their client. Fulfillment fees increase, presidential decrees impacting import taxes, personal mistakes, etc., etc. If you can't price your product with a minimum 20% clean margin while still being competitive, move on. You need that buffer to scale and later properly profit on the Amazon marketplaces. XP boost, negative and positive. I met a seller at the London E-commerce Expo 2023 who owns a children product brand based in Europe. During the launching phase of one of her toddler wearable products, she decided to launch it knowing that her net margin will be 15% more or less, and PPC budget included. This margin included all costs as well as the expected non-sellable product refund net loss, which was about 4% of the product price in Germany. Out of curiosity, she checked the return rate for this niche in the German marketplace. It was about 12%. It was slightly higher than the category average, but she was confident that her product was good enough to beat that, assuming FBA would automatically resell the returned units. What she didn't know was that under the EU law, it's forbidden to sell used baby product for specific baby product types. That 12% return rate turned into her actual non-sellable product refund net loss. That increased her net loss from 4% to 12%, shrinking the profit margin by 8 points from 15% to 7%. So, with such a margin, she decided to sell all of her inventory and terminate the product once all the stock was sold, since keeping a product running a 7% margin is barely profitable and leaves no budget for scaling using advertising. So what's the lesson here? Some mistakes can appear from out of nowhere. Even if you're the most prepared seller, a thin margin only makes things harder. Key takeaways. You can validate a profitable Amazon FBA niche in under an hour using a clear 7-part analysis. Outsourcing niche early-stage research to your virtual assistant saves time as long as you train them to follow a strict criteria-based SOP. Always verify your product legality and patents yourself, and never trust your supplier's word on intellectual property. A niche is only worth pursuing if it's stable, penetrable, and realistically sourceable with solid margin, and never launch a product with less than 20% clean margin, as thin profits cannot survive real-world volatility. Chapter 11. How can I keep my product safe from Amazon's rejection? We've talked a lot about finding a profitable product, but here's a reminder of a basic rule. The perfect product means nothing if Amazon refuses to let you sell it. Remember, Amazon is not your friend, nor are you their client. That means that even after you confirm the legality regarding the target country's regulations, and validity of your product to your audience, Amazon can still, for logical or non-logical reasons, block your listing from being listed on Amazon marketplaces. Now, I know that existing sellers reading these lines are already grinding their teeth in frustration, as the following situation happens very often. After creating your listing, Amazon sends you a message letting you know that your product isn't allowed to be sold on Amazon. There is rarely any further explanation as to why. Imagine investing thousands in inventory only to realize too late that Amazon won't approve your listing. No appeal, no workaround, just a giant financial hole and month of wasted time. That's the kind of nightmare you need to prevent. To avoid that, test your product's eligibility before you even place a bulk order with your supplier. This means creating a temporary listing, which is a simple, low-risk step that can save you from catastrophic mistakes. By making sure that your product category is either approved or approvable, some require a request to the Amazon seller support, and that none of your main keywords will raise any red flags on Amazon's side. If Amazon blocks it, you adjust. If Amazon flags it, you pivot. If Amazon approves it, you can move forward with confidence. It's like checking if the parachute works before you jump. Just remember that the first Amazon check is performed by a robot, so from experience, 90% of the initial listing blocks are reversible as long as you have the patience to reach an actual human on the Amazon seller support side. Don't skip this step, as you always need to ensure that your product won't get caught in Amazon's nonsense automated blocking, or worse, in their permanent tombstone blacklist. And because seeing is better than reading, I've included a quick step-by-step video tutorial to make sure you nail this process. Refer to the video linked at the end of Chapter 13. Chapter 12. How can I keep my product safe from local law enforcement agencies? You found a profitable product. You checked its legality by doing your own research, covered in the previous chapters, and similar products are already being sold on Amazon by your competitors. Your Amazon listing has been approved by Amazon, and you're ready to place your first bulk order with your supplier. Sounds like a win so far. But before you get too excited, ask yourself this. Do you have all the necessary local authorization to sell this product? Because nothing kills momentum faster than your entire shipment being blocked at customs or your Amazon listing getting suspended over missing certification. Regulations exist for a reason, whether it's consumer safety, environmental impact, or import restrictions, and they vary from country to country. The key is knowing what's required before you invest a single dollar. In this chapter, I'll walk you through how to check what certifications your competitors have, how to verify if they are real, and which red flags signal potential trouble. Types of product certifications. In the retail industry, there are many different categories of product certifications, and it's up to the brand owner to be aware of each of the required ones necessary for their good to be sold in their target market countries. Here is a non-exhaustive list of examples of certifications. Safety and regulatory certifications. The CE mark, Europe. It indicates compliance with EU safety, health, and environmental requirements. FCC certification, USA. Required for electronic products emitting radio frequency. CSA, Canada. Ensures safety of electrical and mechanical products. UKCA, UK Conformant Assessment. UK's version of the European CE mark in use since Brexit. Environmental and sustainability certifications. FSC, Forest Stewardship Council, Global. It ensures sustainable forestry practices for wood-based products. Energy Star, USA and Canada. For energy-efficient electronics and appliances. EU Ecolabel, Europe. Recognizes environmentally friendly products. Food and beverage certifications. USDA Organic, USA. Ensures organic food production without synthetic chemicals. EU Organic, Europe. Certification for organic food products in the EU. Non-GMO Project Verified, Global. Confirms that products are free from genetically modified organisms. Fair Trade Certified, Global. Ensures ethical labor and sustainable sourcing. BRCGS, British Retail Consortium Global Standards, UK and Global. Certifies food safety and manufacturing. Kosher certification, ensures food meets Jewish dietary laws. And Halal certification, ensures food meets Islamic dietary laws. Health and beauty certifications. USDA certified bio-based, USA, ensures products are derived from renewable resources. EcoCert, Europe and global, organic certification for cosmetics and personal care products. NSF ANSI 305, USA, certification for personal care products containing organic ingredients. Textile and apparel certifications. OEKO Tex Standard 100, global, ensures textiles are free from harmful chemicals. Fairtrade Textile Standard, ensures ethical and sustainable textile production. Toys and children product certifications. ASTM F963, USA, Toy Safety Standard. CE EN71, Europe, Safety Standard for toys in the EU. Electronics and battery certifications. IEC 62133, global, Safety Standard for rechargeable batteries. UN 38.3, global, Safety Certification for lithium-ion batteries in transport. Energy Star, USA, Canada, Energy Efficiency Certification for electronics. Local law enforcement checks, customs. Since you should be shipping your product using the Incoterm DDP with your freight forwarder, they should be taking care of the full door-to-door delivery of your cargo from your supplier's factory to the Amazon warehouses. But it's still important that you understand the basics of how international freight forwarding works. Any product imported into a country is subject to control by local customs authorities. These agencies ensure that goods comply with national regulations, including safety, labeling, taxation, and intellectual property laws. Although routine checks occur randomly, customs investigations are often triggered by discrepancies in shipping documentation, which is why it's very important to work with a trustworthy freight forwarder. More on that topic in the following chapters. The good news is that if your product meets all compliance requirements, such as proper labeling, correct harmonized system codes, and necessary custom papers, your product shipment won't be checked in detail by customs. But to make sure that you won't face any issues and to be 100% safe, it's always good to perform these two actions before ordering a bulk of product from a supplier. Number 1, before placing an order for a specific product, ask your freight forwarder if they are aware of a specific certification that will be required and controlled by customs. Your freight forwarder might ask you for the HS code of your product. Bear in mind that this can be an import certification, which isn't visible to the end customers, so you won't see it just by looking at your competitors' listings. Second, then contact the custom authorities of the country where your product will be shipped to ensure you're aware of all the necessary import certification before shipping your products. Here is a list of custom authorities in major countries with Amazon marketplaces responsible for enforcing import regulations and product compliance. Surprisingly, these are administrations that answer the phone and provide accurate information pretty often. US Custom and Border Protection, the CBP, on cbp.gov. Canada Border Services Agency, the CBSA, on cbsa-asfc.gc.ca. The UK Good Imports, on gov.uk/imports-goods-into-UK. The Direction Générale des Douanes et Droits Indirects, the DGDDI in France, on douane.gouv.fr. The German Customs Administration, on zoll.de. The Japan Customs Ministry of Finance, on customs.go.gp. And the Australian Border Force, the ABF, on abf.gov.au. Ensuring your product meets all customs requirements protects your business from import delays and fines, but also gives you a strategic advantage. Local law enforcement checks, consumer protection agencies. Any product can legitimately be controlled by local consumer protection agencies at any point during their availability on its market. Although, this action often comes from your competitors who, if they feel threatened by your product, will leverage any agency they can to attack your product if it's not fully certified. The good news is that if you're fully covered, you risk nothing. Even better, you can leverage these agencies yourself to make your non-compliant competitor's product go away. Here is a list of consumer protection agencies in major countries with Amazon marketplaces, responsible for enforcing laws and regulations to protect consumers from fraud, unfair business practices, and unsafe products. In the United States, you have the Federal Trade Commission, the FTC. It protects consumers against deceptive practices, fraud, and antitrust violation on ftc.gov. The Consumer Product Safety Commission, which ensures product safety regulation for consumer goods on cpsc.gov. The Better Business Bureau, non-governmental organization. It helps consumers resolve complaints against businesses on bbb.org. And finally, the State Attorney General offices. It handles consumer protection at the state level. In Canada, you have the Competition Bureau Canada, which enforces competition and consumer protection laws against deceptive marketing on competitionbureau.gc.ca. The Canadian Anti-Fraud Centre. It tracks and combats consumer fraud on antifraudcenter-centrantifraude.ca. The Consumer Protection Offices at the provincial level. Each province has a consumer protection office, such as Ontario has the Consumer Protection Ontario on ontario.ca/page/consumer-protection-ontario. And in Quebec, you have the Office de la Protection du Consommateur on opc.gouv.qc.ca. In the United Kingdom, you have the Competition and Markets Authority, which protects consumers from unfair business practices and ensures market competition. You can find it on gov.uk/government/organizations/competition-and-markets-authority. The Trading Standards Offices, which is a local government agency enforcing consumer laws and product safety. You can find it on tradingstandards.uk. And the Financial Conduct Authority, the FCA, which regulates financial services to protect consumers. You can find it on fca.org.uk. In France, you have once again the Direction Générale de la Concurrence, de la Consommation et de la Répression des Fraudes, the DGCCRF. Again, it ensures fair competition, product safety, and fraud prevention. You can find it on economy.gouv.fr/DGCCRF. You also have the Autorité de la Concurrence, which regulates market competition and consumer protection on autoritédelaconcurrence.fr. And you have UFC Que Choisir. This is the consumer organization, non-governmental, which assists consumers with disputes and advocacy on quechoisir.org. You also have some in Germany that unfortunately I'm not able to pronounce, but you can look them up pretty easily. The first one is the Federal Cartel Office. It protects consumers by ensuring fair competition. You also have the Consumer Advice Centers, which is non-governmental, which provide legal assistance and protection for consumers. And finally, you have the Federal Network Agency, which regulates telecommunications, postal services, and energy sectors to protect consumers. You also have in Japan the Consumer Affairs Agency. It is the main agency overseeing consumer protection laws and fair trade. You can find it on caa.go.jp. The Japan Fair Trade Commission. It ensures fair competition and protects consumers from monopolies and unfair business practices. You can find it on jftc.go.jp. And you also have the National Consumer Affairs Center of Japan, the NCAC. It provides support and dispute resolution for consumer complaints. You'll find it on kokusen.go.jp. Finally, in Australia, you have the Australian Competition and Consumer Commission, the ACCC, which is the main authority ensuring consumer rights and fair competition. You will find it on accc.gov.au. You have the ACCC and State Territory Consumer Protection Agencies, which enforce the Australian consumer law. You'll find it on consumerlaw.gov.au. And you finally have the fair trading offices at the state level. Each Australian state has its own consumer protection office. You have the NSW Fair Trading, the Consumer Affairs Victoria, or the Queensland Office of Fair Trading. XP Boost Positive. While preparing a product in 2022, I noticed that 90% of current offers in that niche in Europe were selling illegally on Amazon. The reason was because the CE certification for this product was complex to obtain, as it was only available through a very specific notified body company. So I took the time to get properly certified, launched my product on the EU market, and reported all competitors to the local authorities, monopolizing the market ever since and reporting to Amazon any non-conforming newcomers every month. Analyze competitors' listings. Now that you've done your homework and know which type of certification your product needs, Go check your existing competitors' listing. It's important to know that most of the time, product certifications are used as a marketing tool as they testify to the quality and safety of the products. It's then normal for sellers to display them on their products and listing, and you should too. So, after checking your competitor's listing, you can then perform 3 actions. First action, confirm that all certifications that your competitors mention are indeed the ones that you will need to obtain for your own product. Second action, check if they mention certification you forgot, and if so, go check what these are about and obtain them if necessary. And third action, identify which of your competitors are either not displaying the certification or worse, displaying a fake one. This happens very often, especially in European marketplaces. In that case, flag them to Amazon and local law enforcement once your product enters the market. It's another great cheat to steal more market share. Analyze competitors' products, not listings. Of course, acquiring your competitor's product is important during your market analysis when building your perfect product. More on that in the next chapters. But you should also check what type of information they mention on the packaging and product itself. That way, you might discover even more fraud or missing elements to flag to Amazon and local law enforcement once your product enters the market. Check if your supplier can offer the necessary certifications. You should now be fully aware of all the documentation and certifications you need for your future product. But before placing your purchase order with your supplier, here are 2 rules to respect no matter what. Rule number 1. If a supplier, for example in China, sells a product by mentioning a specific, unfamiliar certification, that's a warning sign. It might mean that the certification isn't recognized internationally, or worse, it could be completely made up by your supplier. Rule number 2. In the private label business model, in the marketplace of your product where you'll sell them, you're officially the manufacturer, which means you are responsible for the product and any certification should be issued under your company representative's name. In other words, if your supplier's factory claimed that they will sell you a CE certified product, for example, it doesn't mean that they will give you the certification, as you need to be the owner of the CE certification for that product. What it most likely means is that they will sell you a product that can be certified by you for the specific certification standard law. Now, the good news is that most of the time, basic product can be self-certified. Refer to specific certifications, official documentation to confirm that. Meaning that a simple declaration of conformity can be created under your company's name claiming that your product respects all the necessary factory settings for you to guarantee that the product is certified. Although, sometimes the certification needs to be made by a third-party company, whose cost varies widely depending on the type of product and certification you're looking for. Here is a non-exhaustive list of third-party certifying companies by category of products. Note, if your supplier is based in China, choose a certification company that has a China-based branch as they are usually cheaper. General Product Certification, various categories. SGS, Global. It provides testing, inspection, and certification across many industries. sgs.com. Intertech, UK. They offer a wide range of certification services, including product safety, quality, and sustainability. Intertech.com. Bureau Veritas, France. Specializes in testing, inspections, and certification across multiple sectors. Group.bureauveritas.com. Electronics and electrical products. UL, Underwriters Laboratory. They provide certification for electrical and electronic safety. ul.com. ETL Semco. They offer certification for electrical and electronic product. intertech.com/ETL. VDE Testing and Certification Institute. They specialize in electrical, electronic, and safety standard. VDE.com. Toys and children's product. SGS, same, they provide everything you need for this category. Same as Bureau Veritas. And also Eurofin. They also specialize in testing and certifying product for safety, including toys. Eurofins.com. Food and beverages. NSF International. They offer certification for food safety and quality. nsf.org. SGS also provide that. And Control Union certifications. They certify organic and sustainable food product. controlunion.com. Medical devices and health products. I3C Global certifies medical devices and health product for market approval. ic3global.com. BSI Group. They offer certifications for medical devices, including ISO 13485 and CE marking. bsigroup.com. Environmental and sustainability certifiers. Carbon Trust. They provide sustainability and carbon footprint certification. carbontrust.com. Rainforest Alliance. They certify sustainable agriculture and forestry products. rainforest-alliance.org. And finally, Global Organic Textile Standard. They certify organic textile and product. global-standard.org. Key takeaways. Listing approval doesn't mean legal compliance. You sometimes still need proper certification, especially in Europe. Check the required import certification with your freight forwarder and customs before ordering your product. Analyzing your competitors' listing to spot missing or fake certifications can create opportunities. You must own the certification under your company name as you are the brand owner. And non-compliance can get your shipment seized by customs or your listing wiped overnight by Amazon, which could mean game over. Chapter 13. How can I keep my product safe from competitors' legal attacks? In the world of Amazon FBA private label businesses, you're not just competing for sales and rankings. You're also competing in a legal minefield, where a single patent infringement claim can derail your business overnight. Imagine waking up to find your top-selling product pulled from Amazon, a lawsuit looming, and a cease and desist email in your inbox. That nightmare doesn't have to be your reality if you deploy the right preventative measures. We already covered how to make sure that your product is certified and legal on all fronts. We also covered how to use the Google Patents tool to check if there are any patents in place to make sure your product isn't violating someone else's intellectual property. But know that it's not just checking patents. It's mostly about understanding who your competitors and suppliers are and spotting the red flags that could signal trouble. For example, if you see a handful of low-review Chinese sellers and one long-time dominant player in the niche during your market analysis, you could be walking into a battle with an established patent holder, even if it is not listed on Google Patents. Recognizing these risks before you commit can save you a lot of time, money, and headache. So let's make sure you stay ahead of the curve and out of the legal crossfire. For SMB owners, the win here comes from simply not entering the battle. XP Boost negative. About 6 months after my first winning product launch, I realized one of my competitors was displaying one of my product's 3D renders on their packaging, even though I wasn't using this specific render anywhere on my listing or on my packaging. It turned out that this competitor was a client of the same Chinese manufacturer I was using to produce my product, and they had shared the initial 3D rendering I sent them with another private label client they had. Of course, I changed supplier to a more trustworthy one afterward. But the lesson here is trust no one with your intellectual property, and not even your manufacturer. Hiring an IP lawyer. If you really want to be 100% certain about the legality of your product, you'll need to hire an intellectual property lawyer to perform a patent market study. In my experience, it's not cheap, about $500 to $1,000. So it's optional if you're launching a product in a small niche. But if you decide to hire one, be ready to include that in your budget in advance. These lawyers can offer you the crucial legal advice to make sure you are 100% compliant before you invest your time and money. To hire an intellectual property lawyer, you can simply post a request for quotation on a freelancer marketplace like Upwork.com. Upwork is, in my opinion, the best one, as I personally have hired all of my virtual assistants, freelancers, and employees on Upwork since 2019. Upwork promo code. On the following link, you'll be able to get an instant discount applied to your next Upwork missions. The link is endgamexp.com/promo codes. One last piece of advice on the topic. Do not go cheap for this type of mission, and only hire lawyers with at least 4.8 stars rating and at least 2 years of experience. Feel free to copy this example job offer on Upwork. As a title, you could put IP lawyer, patent search for home appliance product in the USA and Canada. As a description, you could put, I am looking to hire an experienced IP lawyer to perform a comprehensive patent search for a retail product in the home appliance industry. The goal is to verify if there are any existing patents for this product in the USA and Canada markets. The search should provide clarity on any potential intellectual property conflicts. Please apply with your credential and a brief outline of your approach. As requirement and skills, you could put, you have experience with patent law and patent searches in the USA and Canada. And as a budget, as I said, you could put between $500 to $1,000. Level 1 section video summary. Congratulations, you've reached the end of level 1. So as your reward, on the following link, you'll find a video summary and all the tools mentioned in the chapters of level 1. The link is endgamexp.com/FBA cheatcodes-LVL1.